Hello, welcome to the Zooming Hoosk Podcast, and I am your host, Dustin DaHusky.
I'm Kurdan Sourpuss.
And welcome to another episode of Us, the Floofs.
Can I just say that the header of this has already broken our cardinal rule of, not really a cardinal rule, but
of politics?
No. It's the first word.
Oh, shitstorm, yeah. We're going to talk about shit anyway. That's just bound to happen. I thought you were talking about the cardinal rule about talking politics, but you know what? Unfortunately, and I'm going to say this out clear right now, I used to be a political person when I was much younger. After 2016, I got so burnt out from it, I became less political. It's not to say I'm politically stupid, but I've wanted to discuss politics less and less and less and less with all my friends. Even if we have similar minds, I just don't want to talk about it. But
it's
exhausting. It's exhausting. But you know what? The past year has been so bizarre as far as all of these world and local country occurrences, whether if you're talking about coronavirus, you're talking about Black Lives Matter, and how really there is a white privilege and a white supremacy problem in this country. It's always been there, but now everyone, black, white, anyone, is now starting to realize, wait, this is really an issue. Why is this an issue? This shouldn't be an issue in this day and age. And I absolutely agree with it. So for the very first time, I've felt, not compelled, but I've felt an interest in knowing what's going on and being more vocal about it, much more than I usually am. I don't want to disappoint people. I talk about politics, but you know what? Let's be fair. Donald Trump is, in my eyes, a radical fascist.
Yeah.
From the very beginning, from the very get-go, he is a nationalist. Now, what was Hitler? A nationalist.
Yeah.
He was a national socialist. Trump is just a nationalist, but he's got very much fascist tendencies that it could totally become national socialist. Because when you really think about the word national socialist, it has nothing to do with socialism. That's a play on words. It's meant to entice people. Oh, you want socialism? Well, we got national socialism. Why don't you join our party? And then it duped the German people for 12 years.
Yeah.
We almost came to that last week.
Yeah.
Hitler in November of 1923 had as what is called, and I'm a history nerd Hoosk, so I get to talk about history, was known as the Beer Hall Putsch, or the National Socialists. I'm forgetting a bit of my history a bit, but pretty much the Nazi Party wanted to establish power by taking over the root government seat of Bavaria in Germany.
Yes.
Because they wanted a foothold, and they figured the best way to do that is to take over their nearest regional district, which happened to be Bavaria. They figure they can only grow from there. Turns out they did it through illegal means, and of course they got their asses kicked.
Yeah.
The terrifying bit about that is that after this failure, Hitler decided to become a politician. Instead of a street thug, he became a politician. Guess what? 10 years later, the German people legally voted him in as German Chancellor in 1933. That's a terrifying prospect that street thugs can become politicians when they really shouldn't. Now, Donald Trump.
Can I ask before you go to Donald Trump?
Yes, go ahead.
What finally ended Hitler's reign?
Well, he decided to get into every little conflict with people by being a megalomaniac, wanting territory for his German people, which really was not meant for the German people. It was really meant to satisfy himself.
Power.
It's literally his own power, ego, which ain't far from Trump.
Right.
Trump is a very revengeful person. So is Hitler.
Yeah.
There are so many parallels between the two.
Yeah.
The only reason why that Hitler died in his bunker knowing that he would be used as a No, well, he would be a martyr when he shot himself in the head. Which I don't say this to anyone because it's not like me, but when Trump was in his bunker last summer, I was hoping he would go that route. Because when we were told, oh yeah, Trump is in his bunker while the Capitol was being protested by BLM, which was being opposed with really aggressive force that didn't need to be.
Yeah.
When you have a protest, it should be peaceful. I agree with that. The moment that you put police and the National Guard against a peaceful protest, someone with a bigger stick is going to do harm to you. You may as well bring your own protection or counter up against it. It's only natural. And then here is Trump apparently in a bunker, and I'm hoping, please let him take his own life. But okay, I'm totally getting away from what I was going to go with. Trump is a street thug.
Yeah.
He's a businessman street thug. Screwed people over for decades.
Yeah.
And even the stuff that he says he was successful at, he wasn't. So he's got an ego.
Yeah.
And he likes power. Very much like Hitler.
Yeah.
Except he's not a politician. Even when he says that he knows a bit about politics, he really isn't. He's not a documented graduate politician.
No.
Who has gone to school to know political science and the whatnot. Unlike Hitler, he is still a clueless idiot that does not know a single shred about politics. Because he's not a politician, even though on Wikipedia it says he is a politician only by word and name alone, but not nature.
No. I'm sure
That's the only difference between...
No schooling in political science whatsoever.
Which I don't even know if he's got any schooling with business, because the way how he's run his businesses to the ground, into the ground, is already a calling that he has no idea what he's doing.
It's an embarrassment all around. I'm sure his dad has rolled over in his grave multiple times.
So the point that I'm going with this is that last Wednesday, the U.S. Capitol building got stormed by Trump supporters. For the very first time, and I can't remember how long there's been actually, I don't know if there ever was an insurrection in this country as bad as this. This may be the first.
We've never entered
a state
building, a state government
building that's been stormed by inciting from a politician, quote unquote, to do so.
People have gathered outside the White House, but they've never broken it.
Oh, no, they'd be shot on the spot. They would be shot on the spot. That's why that they don't do that.
Yeah.
You know there are 4 to 6 snipers on the White House roof at any one point in time?
Yeah.
And they're looking at every single one of them, whether if you're a threat or not.
Yeah.
That's just reality.
Yeah.
The very moment that... Now, with one person, they would call Secret Service, they'd cart them out, and then throw them out on the street anyway. But if there was a huge crowd going through the White House gate, those snipers are told to have free reign to shoot whoever they want.
Yep.
Without question and without any recourse. They are doing their job.
Yep.
Even if they hate the president, they'd still shoot you down knowing that you're in restricted area.
Yeah.
Much like the U.S. Capitol building.
Talk about a mind-controlled position. You can't get any more... Like, you're not allowed to think for yourself.
As far as what?
As being in any of those positions.
Oh, yeah. Like, for the last 4 years, there's been so many people... apparently what's been going on is so many people have... The White House has been a revolving door, much like Walmart. No one knows who is there, and they don't know who and what they're doing.
Yeah. Like,
all of these long-time standing staffers at the White House don't know who is controlling what to this day.
That's a really, really good analogy that you just said there. It couldn't be any more true. Starting with how many people he had hired and then fired.
Yeah. You're fired! You're fired! And you know what? That's true to his nature. He likes firing people. Because he gets off on it.
He went from being, just the whatever, I don't know the show because I never watched it.
The Apprentice.
He went from
Which
being
isn't
a host
really a
of
good
that
show
to being a host of the White House show.
Yeah.
You're fired.
Frankly, I was forced to watch The Apprentice for a college class, trying to understand Donald Trump. And after one episode, I thought, how could anyone watch this garbage? Because even if it's supposed to be serious, it's all still scripted, because you know why?
Oh, yeah.
What is it? What kind of show is it?
Reality.
Exactly. And you know what's all true about every TV reality show?
They're scripted.
Yes. There is nothing true about them. There's
Even
nothing realistic about them.
RuPaul's Drag Race, as real as I love it to be,
It's still scripted.
is heavily scripted, heavily influenced. They take those people in any scene where they're not on camera and plant a seed in their head.
Yeah.
And then they unleash them to interact with each other and let them dance like puppets.
However, I would rather watch, and I have watched, RuPaul's Drag Race, because you know what? Sometimes I like watching a bunch of sassy bitches acting all bitchy to each other, and sometimes that's pretty satisfying.
Yep. Sometimes you're good guys.
And sometimes you're bitches.
That's right. Shout out to Anderina. God bless her.
So, there was an insurrection this past week. As far as I know, again, with knowing his history and whatnot, this is the only insurrection of this magnitude that's ever happened in our country's past 200 years of existence.
Yep.
We're the most stable democracy there is, despite how messed up it can be.
Yeah.
We are the longest standing country that has existed on the planet so far. And you know what? The rest of the world is watching us as, can we even take any of this seriously?
Oh, yeah.
No. And you know what? What's one human being on the planet that got just what he wanted?
Trump?
No.
Who?
Putin. Putin
yeah.
was the one who wanted to disrupt and dismantle American democracy in the known world.
Oh, he got what he wanted.
And you know what? The rest of the world doesn't know what to make of us.
He's sitting back laughing at all of this.
Yeah. Even if Trump was under his control or not, he literally played into his own hands. Because really, the strings of the universe are being pulled by Putin right now. Because we know that he's probably more than a trillionaire. He's worth a lot of money. He's got people all over the planet that does his own bidding, whether if we know it or not.
Yeah.
Trump being one of them, we don't know.
He's the proudest of all the Proud Boys.
Yeah, and he ain't even American. And he ain't even a Proud Boy. But of all the people on the planet that got what he wanted, and strides of it, is Putin.
Yeah.
Knowing that he just destroyed not just reliance, but also trust and faith in the American democratic system that is supposed to be the gleaming light of the world, which often enough, there's a lot of stupid things we do. And I will admit that there's a lot of things that we're not proud of doing, but we try to at least think we're doing something, at least worthwhile.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good that we do in the world still. I'm not going to discount that. But now the world's like, well, America is falling apart, because that's how we're being seen as, a country of failing states that can't even control their own state budgets. I don't think this... I don't know. I think Bill Clinton was the last president to put us into a surplus. Because we weren't in any wars. The Cold War just ended, so we had no known enemy.
Yep.
We needed an enemy to make ourselves feel good again. Because the Soviet Union didn't exist. And Communist China was not as powerful as it is today. Granted, they were all making our stuff back then, but they weren't considered a political or economic powerhouse as we now expect it is today. War on terror, but I'm not even going into that. Americans love an enemy to hate. They love a scapegoat for all their problems.
That's the basis of almost everything for us.
And that's a basis for all governments, but it's even more of a basis for the German Nazi Party.
Yeah.
The Jews, the homosexuals, the gypsies, the communists, the socialists, Democrats, Catholics. Because I think all Germans were Lutherans.
Nazis.
No. Nazis are apparently good for the Nazi Party. I'm talking about what the Germans used as scapegoats in the 1930s. And they rounded all these people up and threw them into concentration camps. Yeah. You know what? In this country, we aren't far away from that. Well, now I'm fear-mongering, but we aren't far from that in this country. If President Trump, well, I'm not even calling president.
He's not even...
He won't be president anymore, and if things go the way we hope it does, he won't ever be president again.
Yeah.
For starting an insurrection, which is against, well, U.S. code. But if any politician starts an insurrection in the country, they not only lose their office, but they can no longer be electable again in any position of any magnitude. It's just, we love scapegoats, and that's disgusting, because you know what? That means we're throwing our problems at someone else when we should really be facing our problems head on.
Yeah.
We are so dumb. And that's with all countries, because we all have scapegoats. But a strong country confronts their issues head on. And we're a country that can't do that because, well, that'd be too easy or that'd be too hard. What difference does it make? You fix your issues, you become stronger regardless of who you vote for.
Yeah.
This country has a lot to learn, has a lot to recover. I don't know. What are your thoughts about this whole insurrection?
You know, I really don't have a lot. I mean, because my whole thing is I feel like it was all planned out and orchestrated.
You think it was all staged, like a TV reality show?
Yes, very much.
It's good for ratings, apparently, for Trump.
It's definitely good for ratings. You know, really what it boiled down to, from my perspective, is which news station covered it best.
Yeah. Isn't that disturbing?
Because the thing I was watching, was the police opening the gates and letting them in.
Yeah, that was... Okay, so what pisses me off the most is there's a picture of a small child sitting on, I'm assuming, their father's shoulders in a BLM protest.
Yep.
And there was a police officer pointing a rubber shotgun, well, like a rubber ammunition riot shotgun. That's not an actual shotgun because they're built differently in a way that they couldn't fire an actual shot.
Right.
They would break because of the pressures. But a rubber shotgun shell has less pressure, but it can still do some damage. And there he is, pointing at the shotgun at the child. Not even at the father, at the fucking child. And yet, at the Capitol, there was no National Guard. There was no police in riot gear.
There was nothing. There was nothing there to oppose them.
Even the Second Amendment is supposed to protect the Constitution in the sense that foreign or domestic, part of the Second Amendment is you want to support and protect the Constitution with your life, because those are your rights as well.
Yes.
And why is there not a single 2A group defending the Capitol building is, of course, showing they like picking and choosing their battles.
Yeah.
Which goes against their own better interest. Yeah. Even me as a gun owner understands this. And because of that, they're going to go after these kinds of laws because you know what? They show that these people are crazy and they are only one-sided in nature. Whereas they can't think for anything else but their own self-interests beyond the greater good of all of Americans in this country. Yep. It's literally, what does it mean for me and not for anyone else?
Yeah, it's all
and it literally fucks everyone's rights, regardless of what they are, to everyone. Yep. Again, there is so much that this country needs to understand, to know what it means to be American. Yeah. And also to have, as part of freedom of speech, is also the same as saying freedom of thought. Yeah. Because your thoughts are speech as well. And we don't have the thought police. Like in Imperial Japan, before the end of the Second World War, did you know that Japan not only had a police, a military police, the Kampetai, but did you know that the Japanese had a thought police? The Japanese had a police that they can arrest anyone who think that they're thinking bad thoughts. We don't even have that. again, this country is so much better than what has happened. It's disgusting, and I can only hope things can only get better from here.
Yeah, they have to.
It's disappointing.
But yeah, I call bullshit on the whole thing. The fact that there was not one security guard in there. It was just too perfect, too easy.
You know what's the beauty about all this is that, number one, we all know this is still pandemic. Because 2020 has ended, that doesn't mean the pandemic stopped existing.
Yeah.
It's still here. Not a single one of those protesters, in quotation mark, which really is just an insurrection, weren't even wearing masks.
Yep.
So it's a super spreader event.
Yep.
There's people fake coughing to think of COVID, because there's some people that were forcibly coughing to give a middle finger to science saying that COVID doesn't exist.
Yep.
So we're going to assume a lot of people are going to get sick from this event alone, which may help pinpoint who these people are. Very, very few people were wearing masks. They're the only ones that will get away, because you know why? We don't see their whole face. Yeah. So those are the lucky ones, quote unquote, that got away from this. Yeah. Unfortunately for the rest, and fortunately for America, their faces are plain as day. That FBI can start doing a photo database search on all these people.
And I want to see one of them go back to their job on Monday and their boss be like, "Hey, did I see you on TV?"
Oh, let me actually get to that. Yeah. So these people are so stupid that
they were naming themselves.
They were naming themselves. I, John S. Smith. I am at the Capitol building, storming up the stairs, climbing over the wall, and then taking Nancy Pelosi's lectern out underneath my armpits. I, John S. Smith, am glorious. And these people are proud of this, so much so they have to say their names, which, within about a day, all of them got rounded up by the FBI.
Good.
Because they were the ones that first said their names, right?
Yep.
The second ones are their faces or their job ID badges. One guy working for PDM.
What's PDM?
I don't even know. It's a company.
Okay.
But you can look at this article online where a man wearing his ID badge from PDM was in the U.S. State Capitol building. There's a good enough shot of his face and his badge that has his name on it. And the company was shown this the day after, and they say, "Oh, we just want to let you know that this person no longer works for us because we do not support such actions done by our employees." And you know what?
These are the consequences that people need to suffer.
Yeah. Often enough, it's going to be permanent because a lot of these people accept companies that will make them like heroes. Those are the ones that companies will hire these scumbags.
Shame on those people. Shame on the companies.
My company would probably do such a thing.
Probably. I can see your boss doing that.
Oh, yeah.
I'm proud of you, proud boy.
Now let me yell at you.
Now let me yell and abuse at you.
Yeah. Yeah, believe me, the praise will end right there, and then he's going to go back to his normal thing.
Yeah.
So the glory about this is that people who were involved are finally getting their just desserts that, hey, you're doing something illegal, much more illegal than peaceful protesting in the streets last summer. It's the rioters that should be blamed for all the destruction, but the protesters are there trying to make a point.
Yeah.
You're going to lose your job. People are going to lose respect for you.
Yeah.
There we go.
You've ruined your future because of this supposed protest.
This supposed revolution.
Yeah, revolution.
And you know what? This will be part of American history textbooks.
Uh-huh.
The way how Donald Trump has run the country will be in political science textbooks. Like, they would have to see, this is the history of the United States in its political theory, and we're going to teach you on how this country has been run, and we'll hopefully show you how to make your own decisions. No, it's going to be a book on, this is Donald Trump. We made a book for all 4 years of when he was in office. Yeah. We're going to teach you on what not to do as a politician based on this alone.
Not to run a country. Instead
of the 200 plus years of American constitutional.
That would still be like glorifying him, giving him too much credit.
I don't think
it should be. It should be like a paragraph long and move on. The rest of our history.
No, I think stuff like this needs to be.
It does, but
Trump.
I don't think that an entire
Trump
class,
won't live long enough to feel the fame and glory that it would get from a textbook.
He gets glory just hearing his name spoken on TV.
And since he'll never go to a college
graduation.
Well, no, a class learning about political science, he'll never hear the glory that he would get from such textbooks anyway.
I thought he had his own college.
Oh no, that folded.
Oh, good.
Because they're paying oodles amount of tuition that they weren't getting, or barely getting, or teaching him, I'm going to show you how to do the art of the deal, and then never teaching him how to do the art of the deal, because there's no concept, there's no practice, there's no process. It's just literally Trump pulling stuff out of his ass, which is what he's been doing for the last 4 years. You need to, it's like with Hitler. If you only give Hitler a single paragraph in a history textbook, we'll never know what he actually did.
Yeah.
That might say glorifying him. That might give neo-Nazis a chance.
I get the whole,
the whole gist of it.
No, I mean, the point of if we don't learn from our mistakes, we're doomed to repeat it.
And with Trump, he's the perfect example of not to be a politician. Ways on not to be a politician.
My only fear, and this is why this happened to begin with. I look at it all stems from our youth, from the people that are just getting of age to be able to vote, and they see this person on the TV that they've been watching on their favorite reality TV show. They just graduated from high school and they're just going into college and just starting, and they're finally able to vote, and they're given the opportunity to make a decision, and they make that decision because that's how we function
we as a country function on individualism for the collective good.
Right, but my point is this is how a democracy works. The problem is this time people were so in love with the villain.
Yes.
That's why he even got in.
They knew he was an awful person to begin with, but did that stop anyone from voting him in? No.
I mean, that's why they loved him. They loved him for that exact reason.
Women vote for Donald Trump, even though that Donald Trump, uses women as bargaining chips, as a social status of, look at my wife, she's very beautiful, I get to touch her in all the wrong places every night, even if she doesn't like it, I still do it because I'm Donald J. Trump.
Yeah.
And we made the sick joke of, oh yes, I like Donald Trump. Oh, he can touch me down there. I don't mind. It's like,
grab my pussy whenever he wants.
I want him to grab my cooter. Oh.
Yeah.
And these are Republican voters who totally threw away their own sense of common sense or common decency. I don't know what you would call it.
Your own rights. I mean, your own rights as a human being, for God's sake.
Women in this country are not dolls. These are not property.
No.
And Republicans think that. Donald Trump has always treated women with disregard and disdain.
Oh, yeah.
So much so that...
lesser beings. He treats
yes.
them as lesser beings.
And yet Republican women's like, oh, yeah.
I love him.
You know, if now, with that one crazy nut job on a video years ago saying, oh, well, if we voted Hillary Clinton, she'd get hot flashes and then all of a sudden we're at war.
We're at war.
You know what? Trump almost nearly and actually still wanted to get into a war with Iran in the last few months.
Because of a hot flash.
His own male hot flash is to get us into another war so that Biden can take the blame for it, which it's not Biden's fault for killing a Iranian general and to be killing 2 nuclear physicists in Iran last year because the U.S. president wanted to.
Yep.
Most presidents would say, is it even necessary? Is it even logical? And what is it going to be good for us? And at the end of the day, attacking any country without their permission, or really no country's going to allow it anyway, but we'll do it anyway because we're America. No sane country is going to attack another country because, oh, well, we don't like this guy, we're going to take him out, regardless of their good thoughts or bad thoughts about us.
Yep.
They'll understand and then realize they hate us more because we killed one of theirs.
Yep.
So.
Oof. Big oof.
Oof.
I said oof. I thought it was oof. That's OAF.
Yeah. Oof. And then there's oof. Which really is what it is. Again, forgive me, I'm never this political on the airwaves or even in person, but so many things have happened in the last 4 years, but so many more things have happened in the last year that it's hard to ignore now. I don't like talking about politics because it scares a lot of people away. Unfortunately, we're at a point where it's so heated up for everyone that it is hard to avoid.
Yeah.
It's just, I figure it's just time just to share our thoughts about what's going on.
Yeah.
And I do hope everyone involved at that U.S. Capitol insurrection is prosecuted and jailed. Because you know what?
They deserve it.
They're saying unfair elections. You know what? You and I voted for our losing candidate in 2016. We complained about the loss, but you know what? Life went on.
Yeah, I didn't even complain because you know what?
That's
my opinion of that election. Hillary was so smug and so proud herself. She thought she had it in the bag.
Yep.
Because Trump was not a politician. She figured, I got it made.
At the expense of kicking out Bernie Sanders out of the running.
Who I wanted.
Who I wanted too. And you know what? If it was a race between Bernie and Trump, I would have said Bernie probably would have won anyway.
Hopefully.
Because it was a shame when we heard that Bernie was out of the race because Hillary strong-armed him out with votes, power, and money.
Yeah.
That he just could not compete. He was an independent Democrat. He still ran for the Democratic ticket, but he was more of an independent runner than trying to associate more with Democrats.
Yeah.
Because that's what he always was, is an independent.
The thing I'll always remember about that time is that back then, Black Lives Matter was very much a new movement.
Right.
And both Hillary and Bernie had their run-ins with the BLM people, people that really started the movement. And I remember two very visual interactions. And Hillary got in an argument with one, and Bernie stood down and backed up and allowed them airtime while at one of his rallies.
Mm-hmm.
Who out of those two people deserve to be a president? One that argues with people who are basically just angry about what has happened, because that's about, the shootings that went on, all the different black men that have been killed by police. That people forget what BLM is about, and really that's what it's about.
Literally about racial equality and justice in this country.
A lot of white police officers shooting black men.
Yeah.
Some that were stupid and
black people in general.
Some men that were stupid and should have stood down themselves to save their own lives.
Right.
But some that were unjustly shot.
Yeah.
And that kid was one, the young man.
Oh, the one in Missouri.
Yeah.
And he had like a bag of candy in his. No, that was Zimmerman. No. Zimmerman shot a kid in Florida who had a Snickers bar or something in his hoodie, thought it was a weapon, shot him. Not even law enforcement. He was just a neighborhood watch guy who should not have had a weapon on him anyway. He was only supposed to report to police. Took actions for his own sake, and then shot a kid to death.
Yeah.
Because he thought he had a weapon, which turned out to be a candy bar.
Yeah.
In Ferguson,
Ferguson's the other.
Missouri.
Yeah.
Similar thing happened where a young man was just wearing a hoodie, had his hands in his pocket, and I think police just kind of, I forget the whole story by this point, but he was unfairly shot. It's always unfairly shot because these people were innocent.
Yeah.
They just were shot because they were black.
That's, for me, more than anything, that's what Black Lives Matter means.
Is giving people the safety within their own skin.
Yeah.
Because you can change your hair, your clothes, but you cannot change your face.
Yeah.
You cannot change the color of your skin.
Yeah.
That's the one thing that's fundamental to us all, is that you cannot change physically who you are.
Yeah. I know my life would be differently if I'd been born a different race.
If I were born black, I would fully understand what would be going on.
I can never convey to anyone that I'm friends with that is black that I would like to say that I understand how it is for them, but
You
I
don't.
don't truly know.
No.
Never will. But
You would only know if you were...
I can say that my heart of hearts feels for them and any injustice that they've ever gone through, short of getting shot, but being profiled in every store they go into, picked on in schools that they've gone to. It's all very unfair.
You know, Timber?
Yeah.
So apparently the last time he was over, he was, he and I were really discussing about the Blake shooting down in Kenosha, and I kind of like talked with him for the night and just kind of spitball ideas, thoughts, and whatnot. Just trying to make sense of it, and we were both disgusted by it because you should still never shoot someone in the back.
No.
Especially when they had a kid in the car where they said, well, he was reaching for a weapon. If he was really reaching for a weapon and his son was in the back seat, do you really think that was a good idea, knowing that his son could have been shot? I think he just wanted to go in, he was done, regardless if he had a criminal history or not. If he just wanted to leave, but we still don't know the whole story and likely won't.
We don't. None of us were there and none of us know.
Timber had mentioned at that time, one of his cousins got shot by police. Like, I think 2 weeks before then, or two weeks or a month.
Did he die?
Yeah. So Timber felt the loss, felt the pain, felt the sting of what's going on firsthand.
Yeah.
Through the loss of his cousin.
Yep.
And I felt so awful. I was pretty much livid hearing that as well, that it just pisses me off that why now me growing up, I never really saw color. I just saw, we're all slightly different in our own way, so even if you're a different skin color, you're different in that one way, but I don't see you in any different way beyond that.
If I could just interject, for me and my understanding of police, my dad was a fireman. He was friends with people on the police force, and and I'm not trying to say that what anybody did was right, because it's not. My understanding, and I did look into police training when I was really young, is that you're supposed to incapacitate someone by any means possible, but it does not mean to shoot to kill. Right? You can shoot someone in the knee. You can shoot both their knees out.
That would be pretty tricky. That's a possibility.
Well, I mean, tricky.
But then again, if you hit him in the leg, you'll hit the big artery potentially, and you'll let him bleed out anyway.
Right, but
there is a bit of risk in shooting in the legs.
There is a risk. But these men were shot in the head.
Wait, who?
A lot of these men were shot in the head and the chest.
Right, in their vital organs.
Yes. That is a shoot-to-kill aim.
Yeah.
There's no mistake that they meant to kill these people.
I mean, if you really wanted to kill him, shoot him in. Well, not kill him. If you wanted to really shoot them, shoot him in the gut where it's not that vital.
Right. That's what bothers me about this. They did not even make the effort to incapacitate these men before they try to take the necessary force to stop them.
There was a white man who killed a black man with 6 shots. And I thought, so what? Did he have a semi-automatic pistol? No, it turned out he had a 6-shot revolver. And you know what a revolver is?
Yeah.
You have to it's either double action,
Yeah.
which you literally squeeze the trigger, the hammer resets, and it fires itself, which is double the finger force than it is to recock the hammer and then shoot.
Yeah, recock.
Which means that guy was intentionally knowing he was shooting 6 rounds with a revolver instead of with a automatic or a semi-automatic pistol, where it's literally the pull of the trigger and the guns are already reset for the next shot.
Right.
There has been a story where a man had shot a black man 6 times in Milwaukee, or I forget where, 6 times, and then we realized what the weapon was. And I knew this is some kind of hate crime right here, because no one with a revolver would shoot more than once or twice.
Yep, and that's my point. My point is these every one of these people
excessive
was
killing.
Shot. Yeah, you know, even the kids, they were shot.
Blake was shot 7 times in his back, and now he's paralyzed.
Yeah.
One or 2 shots may have been just enough.
Yeah.
And not to say I'm justifying people getting shot.
No.
But I'm just pointing out that police are over excessively killing people much more than they really need to, which is why I think police, do they really need, I don't know, the firepower might be necessary in some circumstances, but it almost seems like they're foregoing a taser or a stun gun, but go straight for their sidearm anyway.
Yes.
Where it almost seems like they're almost trained to go for the fatal shot to take someone down than to, a taser is their first mode of action.
Yeah.
Often enough, now, there's been a story where a police officer was actually trying to take down someone attacking him.
Yeah.
Like a legitimate attack. He was trying to de-escalate a situation.
Yep.
He was not found guilty in the killing, but this man was going after him. He tased him, and this guy was a big guy.
He didn't go down.
And he didn't go down, so he was forced to use lethal force and killed him. Didn't want to kill him, but took him down, and it turned out the bullet got him somewhere in his more vital organs, and it killed him right there. Not wanting to, but he was forced to because the taser didn't work.
Right.
I don't know. It's just the police in this country need a whole revamp.
Oh, yeah.
And there was one Chicago fur that was trying to convince me to go into being a police officer. It's like, I like serving my community. No, I don't really. I'm torn at the idea that I like serving my community. No, I do not think the police are serving their community as well as they should. Not to say that they all aren't, but a good majority of them seem to be caught in that same...
The ones we see on the TV are a very small percentage.
But do we know that in police departments?
Well, there has to be. I do it by process of elimination. How many bad policemen have we seen in the last 10 years? 7, 8 men?
Oh, I'm sure there's got to be more than that.
10, maybe?
There's probably a lot of stories of shootings by police that we don't even know about.
Okay, but here's my point. Maybe 1 for every state in the past 10 years. Okay, fair enough?
I don't know. It seems almost too low.
2 for every state?
I mean, think about Chicago, and Chicago's insane.
That's 100 men in the last 10 years, the last decade that have gone bad, that have represented bad seeds in our police force.
Now, okay, so
it's pretty high.
so
But
let's
here's my point. Say it's 200 men. How many policemen are there within each state?
thousands.
Yeah, tens of thousands.
But how many of those policemen are from the same district?
Not a lot. I'm sure not a lot. But my point is there has to be more good than bad, because we don't hear. I mean, it's not been on a daily basis that another different police officer shot someone. If it was daily and different each time, then I'd be more concerned. So maybe this is just my own ignorance, my own blind faith, but I like to think that there's definitely more good police out there. And I'm not a police lover. I don't back the badge. But every time I've ever been pulled over and held, what do they call that when you're being detained?
Juvie.
For speeding or whatever. Because that's being detained when you're pulled over and stopped for speeding.
Well, you're not detained, you're just pulled over. Detained is when they take you to the police department and book you.
I've been booked.
But you went to juvie.
No, I didn't. I was tried as an adult.
Oh. Illegal poos.
Mm-hmm. I've had, not a lot of people know this, but I was picked up for shoplifting, and I was an adult when it happened. I started lifting when I was under the legal age to vote, which is not considered being an adult.
No.
16, 17.
Yeah, that would be juvie. You would still get sent to juvie, but then you'd be released or be picked up by our folks and then be shamed that way.
No, but I was 18 when I got picked up, and I spent the night in not juvie, just regular old.
Fucking you in the ass prison.
Fuck me in the ass prison, that's right.
Now...
No conjugal visits there, folks. But my point is this. Even after all that, everything I've been through, I feel like I'm a better poos because of it.
Well, you learn from your mistakes.
Yes.
Now, here's my thoughts about police departments. This is my theory.
And I should be a police hater, but I'm not.
I am very wary about them. I don't hate them. I'm very wary about them because you don't know what you'll get.
Right.
So, my theory is that all the good cops in a department are stuck at a desk, day in, day out.
I hope not.
That's what happened to Tina.
Oh, God,
Tina is my only good cop friend that I know.
Yeah.
She once said something bad about the Milwaukee Police Department. Someone overheard. She got reported and she was reduced to a desk job afterwards. And she would tell me how she would go months before she'd ever pull anyone over or give anyone a ticket. Then they'd say, "Hey, you haven't really done anything. Are you sure you're doing your job?" And so she was forced to pull someone over but give him a warning anyway to show she's still doing her job. She still patrolled the streets. She still gave out more warnings than she did wanting to give anyone a ticket because she felt like, hey, it's better to warn someone to scare them white so they learn something than to punish someone if it wasn't that bad.
At that point, she's not making that department money.
No.
Which is what they're all about.
Police departments are a business, if you think about it. They're not meant for a community, which is my theory compared to yours.
Yeah.
Yes, there are good police.
Yeah.
My thoughts are they're all tied to a desk, whether if they like it or not.
I hope not.
Because it all just seems like the ones that are going to be...
That does seem very probable. Very probable.
The ones that are going to be very aggressive are the ones that police departments want to be out on the street to make dough.
Yep.
They're the ones that they want on the street.
Yeah.
Someone who's going to be the good old Andy Griffith model of police officer is now making money for the police department.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say Tina is our local Andy Griffith police officer who we love because she is very much the only good cop I know who is very much a good cop through and through.
Yeah.
It's just when she said something negative about the police department, seeing what is wrong with the police department.
Oh, they don't like that.
Oh, They don't like criticism
They
at
do
all.
not like that.
Because she spoke the truth, and in order to punish her, they say, you know what? No, we're going to reduce you to a desk job. And you know what? I don't think she ever got out, and
Nope.
I don't know if she's retired by now, but
Probably.
last time I did talk to her about that was the last time I saw her was 2018 or 2019 or something like that, and
Sounds like Walmart police. I'm sorry, Milwaukee police is where she was at. Milwaukee.
Yeah.
Sounds like Milwaukee police is the Walmart of police departments.
you know what? It's a big city.
Yeah.
And to be frank, Milwaukee is smaller than Chicago. I can't imagine Chicago doing anything different.
Yeah.
There are some good police out there that have to filter in
Yeah.
order to keep their job to get paid more, because you don't know if they get reduced pay if they're on desk duty,
Yeah.
because you don't know that. We don't know that. My thoughts is all the bad cops are certainly out on the streets in a patrol car in some way, shape, or form.
Yep.
And the ones that are good, that are still out there, are hiding to be bad, but are actually good,
Yeah.
so that they can still make a difference.
Yeah.
And those that out themselves as good Andy Griffith quality police officers that want to make a difference, that should be making a difference in this country, are the ones being tied down inside these government or these police buildings, not being out on the streets to actually help their community.
Yep.
That's the point that I'm trying to make, as far as just I don't know. To me, it's all a huge mess. This country politically is a huge mess.
Yeah.
This country, as far as police are concerned, is a total mess and needs to get fixed.
Yep.
We are the most heavily incarcerated country on the planet, more than China.
We're definitely very segregated too.
We're still segregated, and that infuriates me, because
Politicians want it this way too.
Scott Walker back in 2010 said conquer and divide
Yep.
on camera.
Yep.
And it leaked out. And did Republicans say anything about that? No.
They brushed it under the rug. If you ignore it and stop bringing focus to it, it goes away.
Yeah. Americans are very, very forgiving when it comes to this type of shit.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
We are as complacent as we were buying cars from the 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s, where they were all junk. But every American's like, well, that's okay. Well, you know, nothing has to be perfect in life. And they ignore the fact that they bought a Ford Pinto that would explode if rear-ended. And yet they say, well, you know what? The guys at Ford are really trying hard, so I'm not going to give them a hard rap.
America.
Even though that they may be caught on fire alive in their Ford death trap. Which, actually, considering the facts, not as many people died in Fury Pinto crashes, but more Pinto owners were still ablaze alive than any other car in history as far as rear-end collisions. But anyway, I'm just going beside the point. The point I'm making is Americans are too complacent and too quick to ignore and forget.
Oh yeah.
But then all of a sudden we get stuff like, for example, 9/11, December 7th, remember the Maine. All of these rattling things that brought us to war is what Americans will always remember. But all of these small, tiny details that make or break a community is what we should really be focusing on. Yeah, 9/11 was awful. I remember 9/11. My brother was only a year old when that happened.
How old were you?
I was 8.
Ah.
However, I did not know of 9/11 till the day after, because my folks turned up the TV and they told me, do not turn that TV on. So,
What were you thinking?
I didn't know what was going on.
Were you scared?
I was a bit scared, but I was more excited to be out of school.
He was a Zooming Hoosk Puppy Hoosk at home.
So, a lot of people will say, where were you when the Maine exploded? Where were you when December 7th happened? Where were you when the Waco government building exploded? Where were you when September 11th happened? Mm-hmm. And very, very few people my age will ever ask that people older than me always asked,
Yeah.
so where were you? Were you even born then? Like, I'm 27, dude. What the fuck?
Yep.
So I would say that, number one, stating I am not as young as you think I am. And number two, yes, I remember 9/11. The good thing about my school is that they didn't make it a big deal.
Yeah.
When it happened, they say,
Smart.
hey, kids, unlike other schools that turn on the news
Oh, and let these kids just see all this stuff going on.
and seeing these towers go down, that kind of stoked the fires that we're kind of seeing today. I'm not going to lie. It may not have been a good idea to show that kind of stuff to kids.
No.
Because now you totally make their minds...
Those kids are now, a lot of them are ignorant wave flagger.
Yeah. A lot of those kids in 9/11 that were old enough to join the Army did.
Yep.
More of my age group than any other.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It definitely lit the fire under a lot of people's butts to fight terror.
Which is not a bad idea.
No, it's
yeah.
not.
You need to defend the country when it does happen. However, having a war on terror instead of a war on Taliban, meaning that any country can be a war on terror and it's an endless war.
Yeah.
That is what was... That's what fucked us in our future that we're
Yep.
still living today.
Yep.
It's just... I think it was a good idea that I was not exposed to that on that same day, because you know what?
Yeah.
Yeah, I still remember 9/11. I know the ramifications of it the day after when I saw the news and whatnot.
Yeah.
I was more... This is just me. I am more mind-blown at the Fukushima power plant explosions, because I saw those live.
Yeah.
I went home... it was at the tail end of my day at high school. We heard that there was an accident at the Fukushima nuclear plant, and it was emitting more radiation than Chernobyl was.
Yeah.
So when I got home, I was playing the Manhattan Project by Rush, knowing the importance of this day. Then I turned the news and I stood in front of the TV all day, and I saw the number 2 and the number 4 reactors, or the number 1 or number 3 reactors pop on television,
Yeah.
literally blowing their containment buildings,
Yep.
popping them open. But you know what? The Japanese acted quick, and they were able to solve that problem incredibly quickly.
Without our help.
Without our help, which is great. And I feel bad for them, but you know what? To be honest, nuclear radiation is an invisible enemy that hits all.
Mm-hmm.
That is more background radiation released into the atmosphere since 1986.
Yeah.
And 80% of all the background radiation in the air is from 2 accidents alone,
Yeah.
from Chernobyl and Fukushima.
Yeah.
And the rest is just from 3 Mile Island, which wasn't that big of a deal. It was a big deal, but it wasn't that big.
Yeah.
And all the other nuclear testing we had since 1945. So that struck me more than 9/11, because I knew this is going to hit humanity hard, regardless of what language you speak, what religion you believe in.
Yeah.
This will be the eventual earth poison to kill us all, is this radiation. Granted, a national event like 9/11 is terrifying.
Yeah.
But look at COVID.
Yeah.
We have a 9/11 attack every day.
Yeah.
If you think about it, the number of people dying each day
Yeah.
from COVID is literally a 9/11 attack every day.
You know where I was when 9/11 happened?
What?
It happened 2 minutes after I left my house to go to work
Really?
at 6:30 in the morning. Or what time was it that it happened?
Somewhere around 8:15 or something
Oh,
like
no.
that.
It must have been. I think I left my house like 7.
But New York is 2 hours ahead.
Okay. Oh, that may
So-
be right.
Yes.
6:30, 7 o'clock. I was driving to work. All the streets were empty. And usually by that time,
People were out and about.
yeah, going to work, nobody was out. I was like, what the heck is going on? It was like a ghost town. I went
Oh, yeah.
from Aurora to Naperville.
All
When I got to work, maybe 1 or 2 people showed up returning movies. Usually by that time, Like your bed would be considered where our return bin, our overnight returns would come in and pile up. I mean, it would be mounding, empty. Not one person returned a tape or a DVD.
Wow.
I was like, what the hell is going on? Finally, I got a fax or a phone call from one of my district managers saying, if you're at work, fine, go ahead and open, but we're not going to have normal business hours today because of what's going on. And I'm like, I think they spelled out because of the attacks going on at such and such. And I was like,
They thought it was everywhere.
right. So they were like, if you're at work, fine, stick it out, but we're not going to be having normal business hours.
Considering Chicago and the Sears Tower,
Yeah, that was their first thought.
is every single major American building.
Yeah.
I think the U.S. Capitol building in Milwaukee, which until recently is Wisconsin's tallest building in Milwaukee.
Can you imagine if it had been that magnitude?
At that magnitude, where almost every single
We would
major...
have shut down as a country.
We did.
Even more so.
Businesses around here totally closed up by noon. No one else was going anywhere.
No.
We were back at home by... let's see. We were at home at around 9:30 a.m. and school began at 7:30. So we were barely in school for 2 hours, and we were immediately told to go home. We didn't even have time to put stuff away. We literally left everything as is, grabbed our backpacks.
Yeah.
Homework wasn't even assigned, and we were just sent back home.
My parents sat and watched the TV for a week before
Oh,
they
those-
left the house.
Those poor loafs.
They just sat there and just watched this over and over and over and over and over again.
To think that this upcoming year is going to be the 20th anniversary.
Yeah. 2 decades gone.
However, oh boy, this is going to be a tough question.
Yeah, of course. Go ahead.
Have we as Americans made the world a safer place in 20 years' time?
No.
I don't think we have.
I think we've lost the faith of the rest of the world, especially with the past 4 years.
Yeah. Oh yes, certainly the last 4 years didn't help. But invading other countries, killing more innocent civilians, making them future terrorist operatives.
Not being able to get along as a country is a huge
Disadvantage.
You can't take a country seriously if they can't get along with themselves.
No.
That's what I look at. I try to look at the bigger picture of all of this. I see us still struggling with our own rights because each generation comes about. These kids from each generation are taught the same values from their parents. The parents that have good values try to instill those good values in the kids. The ones that have ignorant values reinstill those ignorant values. So we keep going through the same thing over and over again. That's why there's still people waving
Confederate
flags, because these idiot, ignorant people somehow think that
the South is going to come back.
Yeah, and they think that if they instill their kids with it, with each generation, we're populating more and more. Our birth rate is up. I know that the news stations were scared. Oh, our birth rate's down. No, we're overpopulating.
Oh yeah.
So each generation the numbers are growing.
9 billion people, 9 billion fuckers on this planet is enough to destroy the planet.
Yeah.
And we're not far away from that.
Yeah.
We need to pay people to stop fucking.
Yeah.
You know what I would probably do? I just tell people, hey, if you can hold out for 10 years before you can have a kid, hold out 10 years, you may even be more financially stable than to have a kid.
That won't happen, though.
No. Especially in this country.
Politicians and government makes way too much money off of people fucking and reproducing.
You know the whole reason why countries wanted people to fuck like rabbits? This is for militaries, because back 100
Yeah.
years ago,
Yeah.
The armies of the day were not automated at all, unlike today, where now we have fighter jets that can be controlled by a joystick on the ground.
Yeah.
We're seeing the next generation of tanks where they can literally be controlled by either one guy
Yeah.
instead of 5. A Sherman tank needs 5 men to operate. You may only need one guy, and it happens to be in the turret.
Yep.
Or in the hull of the tank. And you know what? The mechanization of the army is going up while the numbers of crew are going down, meaning you don't need that many soldiers in the military now. But people still produce like if it's going out of fashion.
Right. Well, I think that their mindset is still, if you see 10 billion soldiers coming over a hill and there's only 1,000 of you, what do?
There's not much you can do.
You surrender instantly because their numbers just, 10 billion to 1. I mean, it's
100 years ago, there was 7 German babies being born against 2 French babies.
Yeah.
And the French wanted the French government wanted the French populace to fuck like hell. And you know what? They still couldn't.
Yeah.
France has been in a native birth decline since the turn of the century. And 2 world wars actually diminished the French population by almost 20%.
Yeah.
Which is huge to a nation.
I blame America for that because every time they went at war, they pulled France into it. Not every time. One time.
France helped gain America's independence from Britain by helping them fund our revolution.
Yeah.
Without France, we'd still be British.
Yeah.
I don't remember a time when I wasn't British.
I didn't think I was alive until I was
British. Without France, this country could not exist.
Yeah.
Without France, we could not have bought the Louisiana Purchase.
Yep.
And due to America's expansionism, France aided America's expansionists to the west by buying the Louisiana Purchase.
Yeah, it was
That's given
funded by them.
It's given us well actually we bought Louisiana territory from France because they needed money for Napoleon's wars.
Right.
However, that fueled the motivation for America to keep going westward.
Right.
So we are not the country without.
Go west, young man.
We cannot be the country today if it wasn't without France's influence.
Yeah.
Regardless of how much we make fun of the French.
Yep.
If there was no ever a French people, this country could not exist.
No.
Even if we were actually British in nature.
British.
Without France, America would still be a British colony.
Yeah.
Or a British Commonwealth.
Yeah.
In fact, who knows, we may all be Canadian. Not just because that, oh yeah, they would have probably consolidated both countries together at one point. So this would literally be Canada and the United States being one country. Yeah. At some point they'll say, what would be the point of having 2 separate countries neighboring each other? So the world can be better. We need to be better.
We do.
Some of this shit cannot go on any longer.
No.
We are a country of waste. We are a country that spends way too much money on stuff that we shouldn't be spending money on. We are a country that fights each other than trying to come across of solutions to help each other.
And then try to make it seem like we're united.
Yeah.
In front of the rest of the world.
Yeah. When we can't even unite against the president that we just elected.
No.
I gave Trump a good year of my time.
I never said he was my president, but I never joined any protests.
I wanted to give him the benefit of the doubt that he might actually do something. And after 2017...
Well, once he went on about his stupid wall for 3.5 years...
It didn't take me that long to...
I was like, you're really going to go on about a fucking wall when people can just go around it?
I think when he started calling Kim Jong-un Rocket Man was when I realized
This guy's a joke.
this guy's a total joke. We're going to get in a nuclear war with North Korea, who has nuclear weapons at that time. We are going to be attacked by a rogue country that we just made fun of their leader, which, yeah, it's to us all, it's an illegitimate country, because to South Korea, they see North Korea as part of their territory, but occupied by an enemy.
Yes.
And vice versa in the North. When I saw that Trump was calling Kim Jong-un Rocket Man not in a flamboyant term of endearment as what Trump later would say, it was more of to make fun of him because he's a bully.
Yeah.
That's when I realized, okay, I can't take this guy any more seriously. This guy's going to be a joke. And after that, yeah. After the summer of 2017, I had no hopes that this guy will be what he said he will. And you know what? He's Trump. He won't keep a promise. Because have you ever heard of a promise kept by Trump before he was president?
He always denied what he would say.
Yeah.
He would always say that he didn't say what he said.
Yeah.
Which is mind-boggling to me that someone can sit there and watch him spew these lies and then deny that he'd ever said these things. And they just eat it all up every time.
Oh, well, Trump didn't say it. Well, yes, he did. Well, no, he didn't. He said he didn't. Like,
how many cut to, 5-10 minutes ago?
You have an unknown caller.
It's Dan.
Oh, Dan! Ah!
He loves to use this app where it redirects the place where the phone call is coming from. He lives in Texas right now. And this is coming from
Grand Forks.
Grand Forks, Nevada.
Unless he's gambling.
No, he's not. But he is military affiliated, so he moves like every couple of years. And
Oh, okay.
relocates his entire family in the process.
Now that's rough.
Yeah.
That is no way to grow a family.
She is a patient, strong woman to deal with that.
And he's in the military?
Yeah.
I hope he is an officer getting paid good money, because if he is a
I don't think he's serving anymore, though. I just think that
So he's a civilian contractor.
Yeah.
Oof, man, that's a tough call.
He does electrical engineering.
He could probably get paid more not being in the
making-
military than being in the military.
Yeah.
Because you know what the military does?
Yeah.
They will pay you at the lowest bidder.
Yeah.
So he actually volunteered to get paid what he got paid,
Well, he's getting paid decent money.
which means he could get more money by getting out.
Yeah.
Let me tell you this. U.S. submarines are highly technological.
Yes.
The U.S. Navy will go to the cheapest bidder of the cheapest steel in the country to build the most highly technical machine on the planet.
Sure.
They are going to use Pittsburgh pig iron to build their Uber submarines that have nuclear missiles that if it implodes at 1,000 feet below the surface of the ocean and takes its whole complement of crew down, but also 12 nuclear missiles that tumble to the ocean floor and possibly irradiating the ocean. Yeah, let us buy the cheapest steel possible to make as many of these submarines as we can make.
Yeah.
I don't know. Being a civilian contractor in the U.S. military is not... It's a good, solid gig. You can get paid more in a private sector than you would military.
I don't think he's directly military affiliated now anyway. That's where he got his education through.
I think it's tough for the kids. It's one thing if you're an adult or a married couple, but when you have kids and you're moving up and around, it's hard enough to have friends. You kind of lose the sense of friendship when you're always constantly moving, and then eventually you just kind of become a loner.
Yeah.
Because you know that any of the friends you make, you really can't keep or take with you, which is a shame because kind of reduces you to just a person who just keeps moving, which kind of sad. Anyway, forgive us all for creating this shitstorm bonanza of
Sorry.
a podcast. We just had to vent and rant about stupid shit going on in this country.
You have to once in a while. You have to.
Because we're all fed up with this shit. Like, yeah, the last 4 years have been great for the Tonight Show, the Tonight, the Daily Show with Trevor Noah, who is a great host for that show, and the Tonight Show with Stephen Colbert and that show with Seth Meyers.
Yeah, I mean,
great shows, great content.
They've all benefited from this comedy gold.
However, have you noticed in the last 2 years they've gone full serious, where they're not actually funny anymore, but they're actually taking serious jabs.
Well, they're still funny, but they're definitely taking personal, serious jabs.
Like, they're getting pissed off.
Deservedly so.
They're getting pissed off at what's going on. And to be fair, it's granted, because after a while, a joke becomes so bad that you no longer laugh at it anymore.
Well, part of that is, most comedy comes from a place of truth.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And that's great. Until you realize that, wow, this has not changed. This is still funny, but it's now becoming almost embarrassing. I thought George W. Bush was a funny administration for eight years. And I remember the heyday of the Daily Show with Jon Stewart and the Colbert Report.
Jon Stewart was so funny.
I miss both of those guys in their old shows, but you know what? Those were the golden days of Comedy Central.
Yeah.
And you know what? They made that easy to get through. And I remember the Bush period being the earliest that I remember a politician's administration where it depended on a lot. And I can tell you a lot about that, but I won't.
That's for another episode.
International travel with Hoosk and answering 49 questions. But yeah, forgive us all if this is not an episode you were expecting, but to be honest with what's going on in this country, you know what? We had a rant about this because you can only keep things bottled up so much before it pisses you off. And it's not something we plan on doing over and over and over again. It's just it's a big giant bug up our ass. And the thing is wiggling inside, and you can't shit it out. Oh, look at that. We just talked about shit. And I did it for you.
Mm-hmm.
I am kind of getting tired of talking about the orange, hateful orange.
Yeah, I don't even want to say his name. He doesn't get any airtime from me.
Well, I say let's enjoy our Sunday. So I don't know about you, but I'm going to sign off.
Yeah. Cards Against Humanity.
Yes, we're going to play a lot of games of Cards Against Humanity to make up for the sad, depressing nature of this podcast, because you know what? There's only so much that you can do, and after a while, you just not good. I just can't wait for normalcy again. So, I'm going to sign off. So this is another episode, kind of dark and gloomy episode of the Zooming Hoosk Podcast. I can only hope for better podcasts in the near future. I am your I'm not your co-host. I am your host, Dustin DaHusky.
And I am your co-host, Kurdan Sourpuss, and I'm going to go hit the litter box as soon as we're done here.
Uh-oh.
I got to take care of some business.
The litter's going to go flying. Aggressive digging.
I have to do a business.
He has to do a business in the box.
That's right.
All right. Well, thank you for tuning in. If you're able to make it this far, I'm sorry.
Don't apologize. Nothing to apologize for.
We'll have to talk about more funnier things next time.
Yes.
So, until then, take care. We'll see you next time.